In the platform bounce challenge of KSB 4, the objective is to score the highest possible total score. So the player starts with 400 points, and the player is going to spend some points in purchasing bracing. So you start at the beginning of the challenge. You have to cross this pit by navigating across this series of platforms, and the player is going to determine whether or not a platform is braced, and if so, what kind of brace. And the bracing that's available is cross bracing, horizontal bracing, or no bracing. Cross bracing costs 50 points, horizontal bracing costs 25 points, and the player is going to spend points on bracing so that they can make it from one end of the pit to the other. So for example, I'm on the far end of the pit now looking back, and I'm going to make my selection for some of these platforms by clicking on one of these three boxes for each platform. The bottom box shows no brace, the middle box shows a horizontal tie brace, and the top box shows a cross brace. So for example, I'm going to go here to the beginning and I'm going to select no bracing, no bracing, no bracing, just so I can demonstrate for you what's going to happen. So now my total brace cost is 0. Now for my next brace over here to the side, I'm going to select a cross brace, so that costs 50. Here's a horizontal brace, so now I've spent 75, and another cross brace, so now I've spent 125. Now I'm going to intentionally run the character just off this first series of 3 so that you can see what happens. So what happened was the character ran across the platforms, and the platforms gave way very quickly because they didn't have any bracing. But you can see that the player was still making some progress across the platforms, riding them as they were falling. And then when the player's avatar hits the pit bottom, then there's an automatic respawn. So an automatic respawn puts everything back the way it was at the beginning, resets the cost to 0, so now the player still has 400 points, and you can try again. And the objective is that the player is going to experience by navigating how the bracing affects the lateral stability of these platforms. So as a player, you're encouraged to replay this as often as you like until you can see how close you can come to that 400 point total that you started with at the beginning of the challenge.